finally made it in Rio. First stop was Subway. Now I'm waiting on the guys and we're gonna just keep walking around and keep exploring Rio for a little bit. So I'll have to explain to you about what happened at the airport, but that'll have to be for later when I'm sitting down. It was really rough, but I'm here and I made it.
Ready?
I feel like despite the humidity, I could live here for quite some time. How do you pronounce this beach again?
Copacabana.
Copacabana. We go bananas for Copacabana. How to fail at vlogging, don't know how to say the names of beaches. It took us some time to get here because we had to go to the mall and get Edvin and Jesper some prepaid SIM cards so they can be able to have Wi-Fi and data while, you know, like usually when we're trying to catch an Uber or taxi, it's the most difficult and that's when we need Wi-Fi. So that's what we did. It was 50 reals. For Americans, it's like 4:1, the ratio, about 4.2 really. So not that bad. Vlog squad, what up?
This is weird. I'm gonna look at my camera and yours.
That's the water.
Hey!
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 Down.
No! Oh no, no! Take that out. Take that away.
Have anything to say to Americans?
Americans?
Oh yeah.
Come to Rio. Nice.
Okay,
so we
yeah, that's a really cool church with your heads in the way.
Poverty problems, but they have a nice freaking flag.
Okay, hey, what's up adventurers? It's been quite some time. It's already about day 3 or day 4 here in Rio. My voice definitely sounds pretty tired. We've just got over a super long day. And here I'm going to have to explain to you everything that's happened since I flew out of the Medford airport. United States, right? And I live in Oregon, and the closest airport to Grants Pass is Medford Airport. So that morning I was to fly out of Medford Airport around 9 in the morning or so, and I had got there like an hour and a half earlier, and around 30 minutes in, just waiting at the gate, I had found out that our flight had been delayed. The plane was still circling in the air, doing its pattern. It was finding out if it could land. However, the plane had issues because of fog. So flying out of Medford Airport in the mornings around January, February, the winter months, it's probably the worst month to fly out of the Medford Airport because it's always just foggy. So we got delayed due to fog. However, it wasn't just a delay. Our flight then got canceled. The plane that was flying from Portland to Medford did not land. They circled in the air and then they had to fly back to Portland. And this was supposed to be my flight from Medford to Portland to LAX. However, the whole flight got canceled through Alaska Airlines. Hope I don't get in trouble. But it did not work and it got canceled. To shorten things up quite a bit, I eventually found a ticket with the American Airlines. So I booked through them. I had to be refunded from my previous ticket with the Alaskan Airlines, and I was able to fly to LAX and land only an hour before I had to catch my flight from LAX to Peru. And this was with a whole nother ticket. So that meant that I had to run from the plane to the check-in counter. First of all, I had to find out which terminal I was going to. So I had to book it to Another terminal from the LAX airport, I landed in like Terminal 4, and I needed to get to the Tom Bradley, I think I'm butchering it, something like that, international terminal, the TBIT in LAX. And so I had to find my way there. I had to run outside. Then when I got to the check-in counter, I had to hope and pray that they were going to let me go through, because technically they were closed. However, yeah, they were okay with it. It was a bit rough. Once I got to that check-in counter, they're like, what are you doing? Why are you here so late? And you know, my first like real thing is like, I'm so sorry, my flight got canceled, and the next flight out to LA was only now. I landed just now, and only gave me an hour in between to go from LA to Peru. So they were a bit mad. Minutes felt like hours. I was just waiting to hear her response, what she would say. And finally the sweetest words come from her mouth, and she says, "Do you want a window or an aisle seat?" And I freaked out. I was like, yes! Immediately I was like texting my mom, and I was texting Evan like, okay, it's good, I think. Because then all of a sudden they're like, wait. Because I had asked, which way to security? And they're like, hold on, miss. And finally this lady comes out, and they're like, you have an escort. So I was escorted all through the security lines. She was opening up the gates for me. I was going through the fast pass lanes, and she was like, yeah, let's go, we got this, we're making it through. And she was just super cool. She was like fancy AF, and she was dressed beautifully, wearing high heels, and this lady who was like as old as my mom, just like killing it in life, and I adored her. And anyways, she helped me get through security super quickly, and we had no problem. She told the airlines like, you need to wait for Janae Brown. And so then then it worked, and I made it to my flight, and it was great. It's definitely very, very dangerous vlogging here, by the way, so it's really hard explaining. I just had a mom and a little girl kind of watching me and following me, so I'm starting to walk the other way here. Yeah, I'm already at my Airbnb. It's just been impossible to record and explain to you about everything, but I'm not done. Let me continue my story. I'm running to my gate. I have made it. They're calling my name on the intercom. And finally I get to that part where you're just about to step onto the airplane, and life is good. I'm happy. Until I realized I also only have an hour and 15 minutes to catch my next flight from Peru, Lima, Peru, to Sao Paulo. And so the cool part about Lima was that I was meeting up with Evan and Jesper at the airport. They were both there, and they were both helping me. Edvin went out of his way to get my boarding pass for me, which was hilarious. And yeah, it actually worked. I gave him like my confirmation. I gave him my confirmation code and things, and he was able to pick up my boarding pass. This is really difficult. There's two little girls watching me right now, and I don't know if I should like say hello or not. They just turned. So Edvin and Jesper helped me get my boarding pass, although I didn't exit the airport to go back to the main check-in counters and pick up the boarding pass from there, because the lady from the LAX airport didn't give me my continuous boarding passes from Lima to Sao Paulo and Sao Paulo to Rio. She did not give me those passes. She only gave me the boarding pass from LAX to Lima. So the guys were trying to help me, like, you know, be basically one step forward so I wasn't wasting any more time. So they picked up my boarding passes for me and gave it to the check-in counter. However, I did not exit the airport, so I did not have to go to those check-in counters. I went through the section that said connecting flights, and it said international flights, and I followed the signs, and immediately there was a counter that said Latam Airlines, which were my airlines that I flew through. And I told them, hey, I'm Janae Brown, here's my passport, and I don't have my boarding passes for my next flight. And she just gave me both of them right there, from the one going from Lima to Sao Paulo and from Sao Paulo to Rio. So I picked up my boarding passes and I continued through security, and yeah, that was that. And then I made it to my gates, and I went downstairs, and there I met up with Edvin and Jesper, and our gates were like right next to each other. And we had like maybe 15 minutes downtime to kind of just reconnect and say, hey, you know, that was where we reunited. So it was still pretty great to see them after it's been about like over a month since we had last seen each other in Mexico. The story gets even more hilarious. So I made that flight perfectly fine, even though I only had an hour and 15, and it was another international flight. Everything was great. It went smooth. The plane ride was amazing. I was so happy. I slept for like 4 hours on both of those planes. So I was just really blessed. I was really grateful and thankful, since that morning was just wretchedly terrible, waiting in the Medford airport for 9 hours because my flight had been canceled and I needed to wait for my next flight. So I was just so happy that both of those long flights where I only had an hour and basically 15 minutes in between to catch the next plane, and I still made it. I'm blown away, and I'm still blown away remembering how the day went, because it was just awful, and I can't believe it, like I made it. I can't believe it happened. It worked. Everything was great. So that was fantastic. Then the next flight from Sao Paulo to Rio was also just as smooth and easy. And the boys were supposed to pick me up from the airport, but I was actually at the like SDU airport. It's the domestic one. It's the smaller airport in Rio. The big international one is like 30 minutes away from our hostel, and the smaller one was only 4 minutes away. So we totally didn't even communicate about that. We didn't even realize that there's 2 airports in Rio. So the boys went to the wrong airport, and they were trying to pick me up from there. But anyways, we all met up back at the Airbnb, and that's where we like fully reunited and reconnected, and it was great. And so today is Friday. Oh my gosh! And that is how you almost die, basically. I mean, I was already walking, but it's cool. So the day after Christ the Redeemer, we were really exhausted, so we just played it safe and we hung around Starbucks. We watched the movie 1917 in theaters, and we just kind of hung out and rested. Had a chill day since we were pretty tired from the hike. Plus, it was raining a lot yesterday in Brazil, so we just decided it'd be better to just stay indoors. So I'm walking back to my Airbnb now. It's getting late and everything's getting really sketchy. People are staring and following me, and they've still been here for like the past 15 minutes. So I'm gonna close up this section and you guys will see me tomorrow. Bye!